I think Arsenal seemed like the right place to start. They had very specific needs. They were a team that have kept coming second, and people have kept saying, oh, they're so nearly there. Their squad just needs a little bit of this or a little bit of that. A lack of squad depth, really, when Saka's been injured in the past or Martin Odegaard's been injured in the past. I've got the list of players in front of me, but just initially, Graeme, did they hit their targets? Did they do what was necessary?
Yeah, I thought Andrea Berta and Arsenal as a whole had a great window. They came into it knowing what they needed. Zubimendi was just about done, but he got that over the line. But then he really looked into what the club needed, and the striker situation. Let's not forget the Arsenal striker hunt was one of the sagas of the summer. But the saga was, which one are they going to do? Was it Victor Gyökeres or was it Benjamin Sesko? And Andrea Berta played a huge part in choosing which one. Gyökeres was the win now option, which they went for. He got that over the line as well. But then he supplemented that with Noni Madueke, very clever signing in my opinion. Mosquera, Hincapié at the back to really solidify what they had going on there. And then Norgard as the backup option. Because let's not forget, they lost the likes of Jorginho and Partey. So, but even with those losses, the squad is so much better than it was, and it's a real top-class squad. It's capable of rubbing shoulders with anything in European football now.
And we didn't even mention Eberechi Eze.
Sorry, yeah. Well, Eze was late, though. A reactionary one, really, Eze. They weren't sure about doing that. Injuries almost not forced them into it, because they did a lot of work on Eze anyway, and Eze really wanted to come, and and that was like the cherry on top of the cake for them, wasn't it, Eze?
Dan, from a United perspective, if they don't win the league, which is obviously what this squad has been built to do, are there players you point to and you say that was the wrong choice, that's the weak league, or that's where you overpaid?
For me, Arsenal look like the clear favourites at the moment. I think Liverpool are going to struggle defensively, which we can get onto. City are outsiders, but Arsenal look strong all round. I think Eze is an outrageously good signing. In response to your question, if Arsenal don't win the league, who's it going to be down to? I think we've seen already that in the big games, Arsenal did really well against Newcastle. But in the big games, Arsenal have had some really tough games so far. And the one player who hasn't shone in those big games is Gyökeres. Now, I think you're going to get to the end of the season, and if you don't watch the games, you just look at the numbers, you're going to look and say, okay, Gyökeres has had 19, 20 goals. Wow, great signing. But at the moment, they seem to be coming in the games against the teams who Arsenal should beat. And in the games where Arsenal have played City, United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Gyökeres has come up short. And he needs to have an influence in those bigger games for Arsenal to win those big 6-pointers and, just make sure they're building on everything they've built so far.
Let's talk about Gyökeres then, Graeme. High work rate, low end product. He is sprinting right with the top of the Premier League sprinters, but his finishing is not competing.
Arsenal are very happy with him, and I think they're very right to be. He's changing what Arsenal are up front, and I don't think their front three is caught up with him just yet. He's running that line really, really well. I thought he gave City a very tough game. He gave Liverpool a very tough game. Yeah, clearly he's not there in terms of the goals and where he's at the minute, but I think he's given him an extra dimension. I know Mikel Arteta is delighted with him. He's a real handful, and he's showing that, and I don't think there's many worries about him.
I think Gyökeres will be solid. As you ask, if they don't win the league, he could be a reason why.
You just think that's the place people will point fingers. Away from him, who do you think, because obviously people have said for a very long time, it's a number 9 is what they're missing. Who do you point to and say, that's the one that really makes the difference? That might be the player that gets them the points that wins them the Premier League.
I think you can look at Zubimendi as well. Zubimendi was a player who Liverpool were after. Absolute top-class midfielder. You've also got Eze. I think, as Graeme says, Eze was a late signing. Arteta needs to work out where he can utilise him best, how he can use him for the benefit. You saw the assist for the late goal against City, which he provided. He's capable of making impact. He was outstanding for Palace. Proven Premier League player. It's just about, can Arsenal use him in the right way for the benefit of all the other players in the team? I think he will.
Would you say that every signing so far is an upgrade? Would you say some of them just holding the same ability as the rest of the squad, but therefore great extra numbers? And is there anyone you think has downgraded their squad?
I don't think there's a downgrade there. We've seen Zinchenko move on and etc. and Tierney. But, they brought Mosquera in, Hincapié, who we haven't talked about, haven't really seen the best of him yet. There's a long season ahead for him to earn his loan move to become permanent. I think Madueke was fascinating where he replaced Sterling in the squad, and he's going to be back sooner rather than later. I still do wonder if they're missing something on the left. And we saw that from the first games where Martinelli's still getting a game now and then. Trossard they kept until January at least. But I do still think they might have a little look at that left-hand side because they have to adapt to Gyökeres, whereas just doing what they were doing before. We saw that in the games against Liverpool and City, where I know Saka, he missed both of those games, didn't he? They were playing very much like they did last season, but I think the Arsenal are getting used to playing with Gyökeres now, and I think come the end of the season, their attack will look a bit different. And they'll play more of him, whereas they haven't really been doing that. But I think we might see another left sider in January, possibly. Something we'll talk about in future shows. But I do wonder whether that might have a little tinker there. But it's a good problem to have. They haven't got many weak spots. But I do love that midfield three. I really do. I think Zubimendi, Odegaard and Rice has the potential to be the best in the world. It really does.
I think Madueke is an interesting one. He's not produced the numbers so far. He was good for England in the recent games. He's really inconsistent for Chelsea last season. There were Arsenal fans who were not particularly happy with the deal because Arsenal have been consistently taking Chelsea's underperforming players. We saw it with Sterling. So I think Madueke's got it all to prove, but he's out injured for a little bit now, so he'll come back. But there isn't a massive amount of pressure on him because they've got Saka as well. But he's got it. He's definitely got some points to prove as the season goes on.